In the shadows of the Capitol, they're scheming in the night, selling out our freedoms for a pocket full of spite. From the border to the heartland, the wolves are at the door, twisting truth and tearing down what our fathers fought before. But I'm a patriot source, standing tall and true, with a Bible in my hand and old glory flying blue. Ain't apologizing for loving this land. We'll fight the forces of evil with fire in our stand. God bless the USA, we'll never back down. Patriots for freedom, wearing that crown.
Well, what's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. We are the Patriot Source podcast here on the Patriot Source Network. You got SK up there in the top left corner. Say hi, SK.
What's
We got
up, everybody?
NomDePlume down there and holding down the fort like an actual boss over the last couple of months. Appreciate
You mean
that.
the shit show? The shit
The
shows?
shit show. The shit show.
People
I
do
actually
like
watched the one on
They
Monday.
do like the shit show. How
They
do we
do.
do?
I was great. I mean, you guys do a good job together. You guys work well together. I mean, sometimes I'm like, do they even need me on there? But then I'm like, yeah, they do. They do.
We 100% do, because you're the one that brings the structure. You're
I'm
the
good.
routine structure, and we're just the actual shit show.
And I am going to say this: whenever you're not here, SK tends to want to cry in the green room, and
That's
again.
crazy.
I'm not
Let's
kidding.
not talk about
I'm
that.
not
Nom,
I'm not kidding.
nom. Easy.
Hey,
Hey,
where's
real quick, no,
guarding the grid? Okay, go ahead.
I have one thing, okay? Because listen, I'm going to need everybody in the chat, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Rumble. Oh, by the way, I see you, the Amazing Torah. Amazing Torah wants to know. Sometimes they wonder what PatriotDad and SK think when they glance at the Rumble chat. You guys are all nuts, but you're all mixed together in our view here in StreamYard. We got YouTube and Rumble. You guys are all intermixed, so it's hard to discern. But all of you are insane. But
Listen,
I have a request for
listen.
everybody.
The nuts are the important part of the family. The
That's
nuts make the family fun. If there were no
Mhm.
nuts, it would be so boring.
It'd be like
Right.
eating a Milky Way versus eating a Snickers bar. There's just
Oh,
something
Right.
about
oh.
the nuts in a
The
Snickers
nuts-
bar. They
Nuts are
add
important.
all of the flavor.
But that wasn't my point. I need
Oh.
everybody in, whether you're in X. Actually, if you're in X, stay there and you'll understand why. If you're in YouTube, you're in Rumble, I need you to exit out. I need you to go over to X to the @PSPod25 account. I need you to get in there and exit. I need you to tag every faggot account that you know of, every fake and gay account that you know of, especially Project Constipation and Ryan Matta, and get the artist formerly known as whatever the fuck his name is. Get Candace, get all of them in there, because they should not even be allowed in this country anymore after we're fucking done with them tonight. Make sure
And
they watch it. I want them to see
Wow.
it. Bring them right into. And by the way, when they get there, tell them to feel free to join the show in the comments. I
Amen.
can't wait for them to get there.
They're
I
not
don't
going to
think-
join. They're
No,
not going to join.
I don't think Ryan Matta is going to see. Did you guys see that Ryan Matta? I'm pretty sure he is now living full time in El Salvador. Did you guys know that?
I think that's
Cool.
some sort of like
Yeah.
publicity
He's-
stunt. He
he's
didn't
hiding.
move to El Salvador. He doesn't give a shit. There's no way he's leaving the U.S. Listen, the people that are the loudest about hating the United States are the last people that would ever leave the United States.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, so before we start, folks, you're going to have to bear with me tonight because we've been down in coastal lower Alabama since last Friday. I didn't bring any of my podcast gear except my laptop, and everything else I left back up in the northern station. And we're trying to get set up down here in the southern Patriot Source hub down here in lower coastal Alabama. So I'm using earbuds, which aren't the best. I mean, they sound fine. This room has a terrible echo in it because I don't have stuff on the wall yet. And the only thing I have is a couple LED lights along the bottom of this room. But this place will become the new Patriot Center podcast station. I'm trying to think of a good name for it.
We'll come up with something.
We'll come up with something for it. But anyway, bear with me tonight. But I appreciate your guys' patience while I was out on Monday. Honestly, we were just out eating food because down here in coastal southern lower Alabama, the food is absolutely amazing. This place is incredible. We're heading back tomorrow to the Northern Command Center, and we're going to be there for a couple weeks. And by the way, none of us are looking forward to going back. We kind of want to stay because this place is awesome down here. It's awesome.
I'm so happy for you guys, and I'm so glad that you guys love it. You guys deserve a new adventure after everything that you guys have been through. This is going to be such a fun adventure, and we're all excited to follow you on in this adventure.
That's right.
See,
that's right.
When Mrs. Nom and I told everybody what we were doing, everybody looked at us like we were crazy, and then y'all got down here, and you're like, "Oh, I get it. Yeah, you get it." And now they want to leave.
So people in the comments are making fun of the fact that I've got like pink lights. This is not pink lights, folks. This is an LED scene called fire. It's supposed to look like a fire. But if you don't like that, I can change it because it's on my phone. So I can organize, I can program it. I'll change it. How about that? Nom, go ahead. You had a point of privilege that you wanted to get to. So let's do yours.
I do have a point of privilege, right? Because I think everything that we're going to talk about, in fact, most things that we talk about on this podcast hinges sort of on your understanding of this position. Because listen, most of the people that come over when we're dragging the faggot crowd all across the internet that come over are the bots, and they're the sock puppets. Every once in a while you get someone who stays in the fight, and then they just say stupid shit. It's always Israel this, Israel that, Jew this, Jew that, all that stuff. Trump's a pedo, all that stuff, right? Even the real ones, they're saying the same thing. But this guy here, do you have blind faith in Trump?
Yes, absolute blind Trump. We trust 100% every single word that Donald Trump says, and that's what we go with. We believe it. We trust it 100%, no questions asked.
Well, I mean, I don't think I was going to go that far, but I was going to tell you that, yes, I absolutely trust President Trump. I trust what President Trump says. I trust the decisions that he makes, because he has not given me a reason not to trust him. Not one. Because every single hoax and every single scandal, every time you clutch your pearls, I mean, how many wars are we on now? Just in the last year, was it 400? So
76 at least.
You guys have gotten right like 400 out of 2 world wars correct in the last year. I can't even keep track with how many world wars President Trump has started and ended in a matter of days. I haven't found much that he has gotten wrong. And more importantly, folks, and we've been stressing this for weeks on this show, we have actually read the national security strategy. We talked to you about it starting back in November when you showed you the Brookings Institute and all of the foreign policy intelligentsia and how they were strategizing, how they were going to oppose the national security strategy before it was even released, which is where Alyssa Slotkin and all of the seditious six started and created and planned their seditious video. It was all born out of that. We've actually read the national security strategy, so we understand what President Trump is doing. We understood what he was doing in Venezuela. We understand what he's doing with the Board of Peace in the Middle East. We understand what he's doing with the Shield of Americas. We understand what he's doing with the Western Hemisphere. We understand the importance of the 21st century arsenal, the arsenal of the 21st century, because guess what, folks? He's not done after Iran. Because the Strait of Taiwan is the biggest goal of all. So what President Trump is...
Hold on. Yeah. You're giving these people way too much credit. Yes. You're acting like they can read. You really think that they're going to go to the national security, NSS, what's it called? National security...
The national security strategy.
Strategy. That's the word. The NSS. You think they're going to go pull that up and they're going to actually read it? You're acting like these people can read. Have you seen Candace Owens read a teleprompter? They can't read.
Oh, I got accused of reading a teleprompter in one of my videos today. That was fantastic.
What?
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Your videos
Yeah.
are like the least teleprompted content I've ever seen.
I
It
know,
is like
I know.
stream of consciousness.
I
These
know.
people are
That-
total morons.
When
Hey,
I'm debating and I like recall like
Yeah.
statutes and things like that, and I like rattle off the same shit that I've said over and over for 2 freaking years, people are like, "You're reading from a script," and it's like, dude, like I read it a couple of times. I can repeat it word for word because I've said it 1,000 times at
Yeah.
this point.
that's
Well, more
right. Is
importantly, I
Antonio
actually-
even a real person? Is that a sock puppet account?
Who?
Antonio.
I don't know. Well, Antonio kept coming back. It's probably a sock puppet account. It kept coming back and back, and it's just getting stupider and stupider and dumber and dumber. But listen, here's the I got 2 final points on my point of privilege here. The first one is this is very simple. If you read President Trump's tweet about potentially ending a civilization, and you thought that man would actually commit genocide and wipe out an entire country, I just can't help you because you're a moron.
Oh,
He
wait.
hates death.
Wait,
He hates
wait.
it. He despises it.
He told you in the post who he was talking to. Sorry, SK. I know you had a point.
No, you're
I
fine.
want to
He
get back to this.
definitely did. He spoke directly to the Iranian people towards the end of the message. But you're going to have to define genocide because I think we have some enormous influencers that don't understand the definition of genocide, or they've intentionally distorted it so that people, kind of like racism. They've watered down the meaning of genocide by using it in a way that they shouldn't be using it.
Yeah.
And now they're calling for actual genocide. So you should probably define genocide for people because I don't think people know.
Well, what they're trying to define genocide as is anything that doesn't fit perfectly with inside their rules-based order.
Right.
Right? They want you to fight in wars according to their parameters. They don't like this whole concept of peace through strength. And when you start a fight, you finish it as fast as you can. So instead, remember, it's the globalists we're talking about. All the sock puppet accounts, all the bot accounts, most of the paid influencers that are now apparently under investigation for taking foreign money to influence and propagandize the American people. All of these people are operating under the same MO, which is to forward the rules-based order. So when you have a president come in and fully understands that taking out bridges and infrastructure during a conflict, if that infrastructure is in any way used by the military, is not a war crime. It is not illegal. It is not illegal to take out a bridge or a road or a power center if that is being used by the military.
I
That's
don't
not a
believe you,
crime.
Patriot Dad. The entirety of the left and all of the black pill Republicans have been telling us for like 2 or 3 days now that this is an actual war crime. So I don't know if I believe you because I've
They're
been told it's an
lying
actual
to
war
you
crime.
because they
Even
are.
though there are several presidents that have attacked bridges and power plants during conflict, that's one of the things they go for. Never been called a war
Those are
crime
strategic targets, no
ever.
question.
Strategic targets.
Right. So, do you know what actually is a war crime, though? By the way,
How about slaughtering tens of thousands of your citizens because they dared to step into streets?
maybe,
What?
but so yeah, but we saw an actual war crime happen yesterday, and it was when the IRGC got thousands of people, mostly women and children, and forced them to line up around
right.
power
And
plants
on
and wave
bridges.
flags. And
And on
listen,
bridges.
and on bridges, and that's actually a war crime using humans as shields for your strategic military targets. And just real quick, I can't tell you how many of the faggot accounts out there were like, what evidence do you have that they forced them to do that? They just slaughtered 40,000 of them in the streets for disagreeing with their regime. Maybe they didn't have to bring their guns out this time, but they're like, remember what we did last time? Get your ass out there.
No, actually what happened, and I don't have the tweet for this, but there were several posts from Iranian people who are living in the diaspora who have conversations with folks still stuck in Iran. And what actually happened is people were getting phone calls and text messages to their home and saying, if you don't show up, we will do to you what we did to your family members and neighbors in the streets just a few weeks ago. Those
easy.
people were not there because they volunteered to be there. They were there because they were threatened with their lives to be there.
That
is a war
right
crime.
there. That's a war
That
crime.
is a war crime.
Hey,
You know what else is a war
Oh, go
crime?
ahead.
This is a war crime. No, SK, make your point because I'm taking us in a very different direction.
I was way taking us off the rails. You go
Okay,
ahead.
so am I. All right, so this right here is an absolute war crime. So we
Hold
have
on, no,
Brent.
stop. This is a war crime right here. This is a war crime. There is no Roll Tide. There is no War Eagle. There is I fucking O. That's what there is.
So
we bring the Buckeyes to the SEC. I'm sorry.
Brent,
I would argue with you about OSU, except for the fact that our OSU sucks balls right now.
Brent, I saw this comment.
I still bleed orange, but I'm not going to argue with you about who.
That's a war crime.
OSU.
Trying to pass that shit off right there.
That's right, Brent. I saw that comment, and I actually stopped my scrolling comment section so I could bring that up. I will be picking neither. However, I will say this. I loathe Alabama so much that when they play, I root for everybody against them. So if that means Auburn is playing against Alabama, I'll be rooting for Auburn. But I will be bringing my Ohio State flag with me. My sticker on the back of the truck is coming. And by the way, I'm not the only one because apparently there are a bunch of Buckeyes down here in coastal lower Alabama.
Nobody travels better than the Ohio State Buckeyes.
That's
Nobody
right.
does. Okay, let's get back on track.
Real quick before we get back on track. I was gonna say, Kay Pasto said that MAGA Jake has been throwing some F-bombs on X today, and I was gonna say, MAGA Jake, you better watch out because we will get Patriot Mom on your ass.
No. The Patriot Mom is not on X. She knows better because that place is an absolute cesspool, which is why I'm allowed to be a little more free as long as I use like characters instead of real letters when I'm doing that. But I don't know if you guys saw this, but yesterday I was flying off at the handle with some of these FAGA people dropping.
Dude, you were telling people what you actually thought.
I usually am pretty measured, but these people had me fired up yesterday. Fired up because when I saw that tweet come out, first thing, when I saw that tweet come out, I don't know if we have this in here. Do we have FAGA Crash Out 1? Can you pull that up? No, just FAGA Crash Out, just the first one. Can you pull this up? Oh, here it is.
Is it an image?
I got it. It's right here. So yesterday morning, today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, today's Wednesday. Yesterday morning, God, I don't know what day it is. Yesterday morning, when I saw the tweet from Donald Trump come out, where he was obviously talking about ending the civilization of the globalists, the one that he's been wrecking systematically from the day that he stepped in office again back in January and started the process of mapping it all out for you behind the shadows on Reddit channels and on 4chan back in the first administration, by the way. You should know what's going on because they told us everything they were going to do. But that's a different conversation for another day. When I saw this post come out, I immediately knew exactly who he was talking to. Immediately. And this is what I put out at 8:27 a.m. yesterday morning. If only the fake ass black pillars would have put down their smut magazines long enough to read The Art of the Deal, perhaps they wouldn't be pissing down their leg and crapping all over the country today. You're watching classic Trump negotiations on the international foreign policy stage. Buckle in, folks. Trump will only get tougher from here. How is it that we knew what he was talking and none of these so-called high-paid, powerful influencers could figure it out? Why couldn't they figure it out?
We read and we pay attention, and we've been watching Trump since 2015, and these people were playing video games. They weren't reading smut magazines. They were playing video games, okay?
Yes, two reasons. The one she's referring to are the absolute morons. Yes, we agree. There are actual smart people who are doing this on purpose, folks. Mm-hmm. They know what President Trump is doing. So this is why you have the cycle that repeats itself almost on a daily basis, frankly, right? President Trump wants to get something done. He comes into the maximalist position, and then everybody freaks out and said, oh my God, President Trump's going to end civilization. It's a war crime. And then he doesn't do it because he gets the result that he wants. He gets them to the table. Then Trump chickens out, right? The reason they do this is because they want President Trump. They're trying to goad him into making any mistake that they believe that they can actually remove him from they don't care about these people. They didn't give a flying fuck less about anybody in Iran, in Gaza, in Minneapolis at all. They want him to make a mistake, and they intentionally goad him to do it. But he's not stupid. He's better at this than they are, like way better.
Mm-hmm. Way better than they are. But anyway, so yesterday I posted that, and there was this not small, very large part of me that I had to hold back most of the day yesterday, because for some reason, I had this feeling. I'm like, today's going to be the day. Today's going to be the day that we announce a ceasefire, because it was blatantly obvious to anyone who's been paying attention that that was nothing more than pushing a negotiation from the 1 yard line into the end zone. That's the strategy. That's how he operates. When he needs to give it a final nudge, he goes maximalist every single time. But there was a part of me that was like, I don't want to say that just yet. And then I should have, because all of these idiots were running around all day yesterday talking about war crimes. They were all running around acting like Donald Trump was taking us into a forever war. He was going to be brought up by the Hague. You had Republicans, you had Democrats, you had influencers, you had the media. The entire globalist cabal was throwing everything they had at this man yesterday, because they knew everything that he said was going to happen happened. He said 4 to 6 weeks. It took less than 6 weeks, and we have a ceasefire. Now, whether that holds is a different story.
Yeah, the effing Carl, the guy that thinks he's a genius down here, less than 24 hours, the straits are closed again. He's such a master negotiator. Listen here, the fucking Carl. You can see your way right out of here, because also a temporary pause in fire is way more strategic for the United States, regardless of what Iran does. Trump is not going to leave Iran in shambles. They're either going to have a ceasefire deal, and it's going to be an ironclad deal, or they're going to get blown back to the Stone Ages. Those are the options.
So because these are automatons that run around here, right? We know, I mean, hey, effing Carl, do you think it's an accident that I already had this up here in the green room ready to go? And I'm going to get to this in a second. Hey, PatriotDad, do you remember yesterday what you said in our little text thread when you were like, hey, we still have, in Iran, you've got power struggle happening right now, where you've got the political side of the Islamic Republic and you've got the IRGC side. And you're still going to have factions of the IRGC who haven't gotten the message, because they like the ability to beat women in the streets. They love it. They enjoy that. And
Can
that's
I take
what
it
you're
just one step further?
Expand on that a little bit, and then I'm going to
just
explain.
One step further.
Yeah.
It's not just the fact that you have these rogue elements of IRGC that are scattered around the country that have had pre-planned, pre-organized strategies in place. These are just like 12th level idiots who are pushing buttons because they're being told to push buttons from a plan that was set up probably years ago. But that's not the problem. You've got these stashes of missiles and rockets all around the country, because that's what they've been working on, is their missile technology and their mass production of them. But you have to understand, folks, the people that Donald Trump is negotiating with is going to be the future of a new Iranian country, not the Islamic Republic revolutionary losers who are still controlled by the globalists. The globalists are not going to just walk away. They are going to continue. And I think we even have to be prepared. When we have a full ceasefire and this thing is fully done and we've pulled out, we probably have to be prepared for the reality that there is going to end up being some arm of the IRGC left in the Middle East that's going to exist solely to cause as much chaos as they can across the region, because that's what the globalist system in London requires. They need it. They're not going to just let this go.
Understand, right? These people have held this control over the planet for better than 100 years, probably a couple centuries, right? They've held this control. They're not going to let it go, because I mean, their entire lineage, their livelihoods rely on this. But what PatriotDad was just laying out there, you have to understand this, effing Carl. It's not an accident I already had this up here, right? So President Trump is negotiating with the people who will be the government, if you will, that we will be dealing with, and that the entire Middle East, according to the national security strategy, well, they will be solving their problems regionally as a region. That includes Israel, it includes Afghanistan, it includes Saudi Arabia, it includes Qatar, it includes folks like this guy right here, who is the political leader of Iran right now. Syed Abbas Aragachi, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Islamic Republic of Iran. This is not IRGC. And what he said yesterday, and this is, by the way, is out to refute the absolute nonsense lies that came out from Iran, the propaganda saying that President Trump, he capitulated and he bowed down and he lost the war. He accepted all 10 points. No, they didn't at all. So we're dealing with part of the future regime who is trying to be honest, and they're trying to stop this so they can salvage some of their country, right? He says, on behalf of the Islamic Republic of Iran, I express gratitude and appreciation for my dear blah, 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 Field Marshal Munir and her tireless efforts to end the war in the region. In response to the brotherly request of PM Sharif in his tweet, and considering the request by the U.S. for negotiations based on its 15-point proposal, as well as announcement by POTUS about acceptance of the general framework of Iran's 10-point proposal as a basis for negotiation. Now, if you listen to CNN, who's in some big trouble, if you listen to any of the faggot black pill losers or most of the Democrat Party, or frankly, effing Carl over here, you think that President Trump went in and he was like, yeah, I'm going to put Iran, you get whatever you want. No, what they're saying is they both have a plan, and now they're going to come together and they're going to try to find something that works. And then you still have factions inside of Iran who don't want to do this. They don't want to lose the power they have. Oh, and by the way, they also want to be able to continue their Hezbollah and their Houthi terrorist organizations over there in Lebanon, which is why they're pissed, because Israel's trying to wipe out what's left of Hezbollah in Lebanon, and they don't want it. Listen, Iran, folks, IRGC, listen to me. Islamic Republic of Iran, listen to me. You don't get to run terrorist organizations anymore. Hezbollah, Houthis are done. I don't think President Trump's going to be able to stop Israel. I don't actually care if they stop him or not. Iran, you're going to have to stop.
Can I just add that I have about had it with all of these FAGA commenters and influencers.
I'm over it.
Pretending that somehow Israel acting in their own self-defense and their own self-interest and attacking the Houthis and Hezbollah in Lebanon and other places in any way matters at all to me. I don't give a flying rip what Israel does. It is not an attack on a ceasefire between the United States and Iran. If Israel is acting in their own self-interest and bombing parts of Lebanon that has terrorist organizations with rockets literally aimed right at Tel Aviv, I don't care. So when you see a bunch of these fag accounts running around out there saying that Israel already broke the ceasefire has ended because Israel is bombing Lebanon, don't care, because it doesn't affect me. I don't live in Israel. Israel has every right to defend itself. They have every right to act in their own self-interest. As long as Donald Trump, at least in this point, and Iran are no longer firing rockets at each other, then there's a ceasefire still in play. There's a negotiation that is still underway. And Donald Trump's plan is still marching forward. Don't care at all what Israel does. Don't care. Not even a little bit. And neither should you. So it brings me to this. Why are we just booting people just because who booted?
I don't know.
Who got booted?
Probably
I
effing
have no
Carl.
idea.
I don't.
Oh.
One of the mods
I
probably
don't know,
booted.
but
No, it's a
People
good point,
in the
Guardian.
comments are asking me about uranium and how they're going to take the uranium out. You guys, asking me anything about science that doesn't have to do with anatomy or veterinary science
We covered
or
this
medicine,
on Monday, didn't we? Yes.
I have no idea. I know Iran had samples test positive for 83.7% enriched uranium in like 2023, I think. And I know that 90% is like nuclear bomb, and I know that like 3% is nuclear energy. That's like the extent of my uranium knowledge. I have no idea how to make a nuclear bomb. I don't know what it takes. I don't know how you enrich it. I don't even know what that means. I know that you have to spin it. That's about it.
Listen, there's something else. There's another aspect of this that people need to understand, right? Most of Iran has no access to the internet unless you have one of those very neat little white special service SIM cards do you get to communicate with the internet? And they have no ability to communicate militarily across their entire country. So unless they're going to send carrier pigeons from Tehran to where else, whatever mountain range they're going to send them to get their distributed ballistic missile teams to stop shooting this stuff, of course. Yeah, you're going to have ones and twos and folks who actually don't even know. You guys remember what was that island that in the Pacific that folks went there like 30 years after World War II and they didn't realize that the war was over. No one ever told them. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
it's like Turtle Island or something.
Turtle, something like that. Yep.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So that's these guys, right? They have no communication because we've decimated it. We've destroyed it. They have no command and control. So they still have some ballistic missile launch site operators who are out there like, oh, I'm supposed to still keep pushing buttons. I'm going to push the button. I got to push the button because they don't know. And maybe their goat needs a break. I don't know.
Here's the bottom line, folks. We are now living in an environment on social media where you are going to have to you're going to have to be okay with the fact that 95% of what you're seeing and hearing in the media and social media is a flat out lie. Unless you hear some type of an update come directly from the White House about what's happening in Iran, you can assume, or if it comes from one of us, because we're trying our best to give you accurate information, you can assume that it's not true. You can assume that you're being propagandized. You can assume that what you're getting is at least a partially untrue story.
Are you saying that CNN airs IRGC propaganda and then says they got it directly from an IRGC source when it came from a Telegram channel, and we had to have the U.S. government call CNN out for lying? What? CNN wouldn't lie to you guys?
Wait,
Yeah,
you mean like that?
They would. They would.
You mean like that? The statement in question was obtained from Iranian officials and reported on multiple Iranians. We received a statement from a specific official Iranian spokespeople who are known to us. No, that's a lie, CNN. That's a lie.
From a Telegram channel, you guys. CNN aired Telegram channel IRGC propaganda as factual information directly from leaders in the IRGC.
So unless you see something like this coming from the President of the United States explaining to you what's actually happening, you can assume that you're only getting part of a story that somebody wants you to hear. So while everyone's out there talking about how the ceasefire has been broken, Donald Trump was typing this: the United States will work closely with Iran, which we have determined has gone through what will be a very productive regime change. There will be no enrichment of uranium, and the United States will, working with Iran, dig up and remove all of the buried or deeply buried B-2 bombers' nuclear dust. This is what you need to be listening to, folks. Donald Trump is telling you everything you need to know about where we are in this conflict, where we are in the negotiations, and where we're going next. You are talking. I don't know how to say this any more clearly. Donald Trump is the first president in my lifetime that when he says something, you can believe it.
I mean, except for the whole like civilization ending stuff, because he wasn't talking about the Iranian people.
No, but he was talking about the globalist system who've built an entire civilization around a rules-based order.
You just have to understand the context.
You have to have a brain to filter this stuff through. You have to have a brain.
I think that a lot of these people are intentionally pushing this narrative. It's crazy that you can see them all at the same time post almost word for word the exact same thing. They are pushing a narrative, and this is the color revolution. Again, I'm going to hammer it home again. This is the color revolution on U.S. soil. Just like the lady that got arrested today for giving national intelligence to a journalist for a book. Again, color revolution. You can look that guy up that she gave the information to. He's in all the organizations we've talked about. New America, Common Purpose, all of the things. This is the color. We've given you all the names of all the organizations, all the people. We've told you the whole network. This is the color revolution, and they're all repeating the same crap. The Democrats, some of the Republicans, Antifa, all these people are on the same team. and they do not want
Yep.
Trump to succeed. Their goal is to end Donald Trump. They don't care what the cost, ending the United States, all of us dying. They don't care as long as Donald Trump doesn't prevail.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
So
Nom,
I
did you have
brought
a
this
thought?
up. This is a fantastic comment from Nomi Sunrider. It's right. It's kind of along the lines of the libertarians trying to wrestle, control over the MAGA movement. Most of these guys that we're talking about now are either, very, very hardline libertarians, or they were Bernie bros who just couldn't stomach voting for a Biden or a Kamala Harris, right? They're
Yep.
they're so far on opposite ends of the spectrum that they're actually meeting back up here again. So the folks like Dave Smith, and I mean even Joe Rogan, Bernie bro, a number of these guys, they are really, really pissed because now they're realizing that they're going to have nowhere to go. They have no party. They have nothing to do. They can't steal the MAGA base. They're losing. They can't unfuck the Democrat Party, which is just a piling, steaming shithole. Through all of this, through everything that they have tried to do over the last year to President Trump and to this movement, the Democrat Party's approval rating is still like 25%. I mean,
It was
That's right.
completely taken over by communists. Remember, I said the communists were the cuckoo bird in the nest, and now the communists are the entirety of the Democrat Party. So your choice is Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans or communism. There's not an in-between right now. So you're going to have to pick a side. You either like the Constitution of the United States and capitalism and everything that the United States was founded upon, free speech, 2A, all the liberty and freedom that you could want, or you get communism where you have to give up all your shit and all the resources are distributed equitably and you're going to be waiting in breadlines. Those are your options right now.
Folks, I'm going to try to help you out here. And by the way, this is what is probably my most favorite named file in our Dropbox of the day. I named this the Faggot Crash Out, See You Next Tuesday list. This is a list. If you see anything from these people, you should immediately say, I'm probably being lied to. Benny Johnson, Alex Jones, JP Sears, Lauren Boebert, Brian Glenn, Joe Kent, Savannah Hernandez, Alex Stein, Matt Walsh, Jake Shields, who is a total clown, Matt Gaetz. What the hell happened to Matt Gaetz?
Hold on, pause real
Holy
quick.
crap.
Pause real quick. Hold on, pause real quick, because there's something important happening on this list, right? So you can keep reading. Matt Walsh,
Jake Shields,
Alex Stein, Mike Cernovich. You could probably, certainly add on here Mark Levin, right? Because Ben Shapiro, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they are coming at it from a very, very, Israel should turn the entire Middle East into a parking lot, right? So they're coming at it from the exact same intent, just from the other side of the argument. So they're lying to you in meaningful ways, just like these people are lying to you in other meaningful ways. Most of these people want to see Israel destroyed. They want to see Iran destroyed, right?
Yep.
None of these people can have conversations in the middle.
And you should assume that if you see something from these folks, you are probably being lied to. You're being propagandized. They have a perspective that is not the same perspective that you voted for. They have a single issue that they're trying to drive. Most of them have reached peak Nazi level anti-Semitism that is masking itself as some weird version of perverted America only, which we know now is basically just the woke right. That's what it is. And then, like Nam mentioned, you have on the other side, you've got the Ben Shapiros, you've got Mark Levins, who have a clear, I don't even like to use the word Zionist because I think that word's stupid. You have a clear Israeli-focused perspective. Those two should be weeded out. And instead, what you should be looking at is, what is the president doing in this instance? What does the national security strategy document define for how we should expect him to be operating? And that goes back to the original point of interest that Nam brought up. Do you have blind trust in Donald Trump? No. What I have is a record of performance and success. following the agenda and the strategy that he has laid out for us over and over and over again. When Donald Trump starts to veer from that and he starts doing things that don't line up with the expectation that he originally told me, then we can have this conversation about whether or not I trust the man. Because I've yet to see a single thing that deviates even a little bit from where I know we're going. It's going to go a little off course from time to time because it has to, because we live in a real world. We have competing interests. We have multinational entities involved here. But we have to stay focused. Donald Trump promised that he was going to drain the swamp. He was going to destroy the globalist system. They started talking about this 10 years ago, and you are watching it happen right in front of your eyes. Sorry, SK, I know I talked over you a few times.
No, you didn't at all. What Trump is doing is realigning the global order. He is putting America first. It's not America only. It cannot be America only. America only is not in America's best interest. We have to export. We have to have relations with other countries. That's just a fact of life. But Donald Trump is doing everything he can to put America first. And he's fighting against Congress. He's fighting against the Democrats. He's fighting against the globalists. He's fighting against the EU, the UN, NATO. He's fighting against most of the world for you, for America first, for what we elected him to do. And he is a master negotiator. I don't care what you think about Donald Trump. If you're a business person or have ever been an entrepreneur in any way, shape, or form, you don't become a billionaire regardless of how much you inherit, because inheritance is really, really easy to piss away. You don't become a billionaire by not being able to negotiate deals. If you have not read The Art of War or The Art of the Deal, you need to read them, and then you will understand Donald Trump's leverage in these situations and how exactly he is putting America first. You have to zoom out and look at the big picture. You can't focus on what's going on today. The same way that all these libertarian lunatics that debated with us and came on our panels and supported us and supported Donald Trump all through the election, trying to get him elected, then immediately turned the second Donald Trump wasn't doing exactly what they wanted him to do, when they were the ones screaming about globalists, screaming about the central banks, screaming about all this bullshit. The second Donald Trump's actually trying to fix that and correct those things and put them back on course, the libertarians have jumped ship and they're all behind Massey and think Massey is some genius. Massey is an actual piece of shit.
Listen, so SK, I want to put a final point on this, right? Because the fake and gay ass crowd that's out there, President Trump is not actually not doing the things that you want him to do. He is doing the things that you said you wanted him to do, that you said you voted for him to do. They may not appear to be on the timeline that you want them to be, but you have to understand President Trump is not playing to the daily news cycle. He is playing to a century-long strategy to secure the United States of America as the sole world power that is a benevolent power, not a malevolent power, not one that is constantly exporting endless failed tries at democracy. He is trying to position this country knowing that the only way it works is if we have strong partners in our own hemisphere, in our own region, and we rely on good relationships with other regions, not individual countries. The world is changing, and it's changing rapidly, and President Trump is putting us in the lead of how that's changing. When we get to quantum computing, when we get to data centers everywhere, and we get to AI is doing all the things that they're saying AI is going to be able to do, you want us in charge as a country, because we are the most benevolent force for peace this world has ever seen. If we lose and China wins or Russia wins or the globalists in the EU win this, the United States of America is done. And President Trump understands that. This is a century-long strategy, okay? And you fucktards are worried about a news cycle from yesterday because you're stupid. Because you're stupid. Right.
They're still dwelling on the big, beautiful bill.
They didn't give it.
What are you doing? Catch up.
So I love what Paul Prater has to say. Wait till these deep state indictments start. Guys, you realize that there's still, what, 6 months, 7 months before the election? You realize that the entire political world is likely to change between now and then. Everything that these black pill losers, the fake and gay ass black pill nutcases are trying to accomplish can be systematically dismantled tomorrow, just like it was yesterday. I mean,
Yeah.
they spent 6 weeks trying to convince the world that we had lost a war to a Stone Age opponent in Iran. 6 weeks. And in one day, it was all ripped out from underneath of them. Just wait until the first batch of indictments start rolling.
Guys,
It
let's be
changes
serious.
overnight.
Let's be serious. The political world changes weekly now. Okay, according to these people, weekly. Something every week there is an entirely new scandal. There's a new outrage. There's a new impeachable offense. There's a new war crime. Listen, the really smart people on the left that actually understand, and in the globalist factions that are the World Economic Forum, that globalist regime, they understand what Trump is doing, which is why they have put everything that they have, all of their powder that they've had, all of the money that they can muster up, even though the tax dollars are not flowing quite as much. The NGOs, they've taken everything that they have and pointed it at President Trump, and he systematically, from the day that he stepped in office in January 20th, systematically took every chess piece that they normally use to shut an administration down. He took them off the board. They're off the board. The criminals, the terrorists, the rioters, they're off the board. Listen, you want to spend $3 billion and go get 4 million people to go protest in 50 states? Great, as long as you don't physically injure people, destroy property, destroy buildings. Cool, do it. He doesn't care. As long as you're not lobbing Molotov cocktails and you don't have terrorist organizations and you don't have criminal, illegal aliens running around the country that would have been weaponized, he doesn't give a shit. It's not going to stop him.
Here is where Donald Trump is unique from every president we've ever had, every influencer, every person that you listen to try to tell you what is best for you. Donald Trump can't be bought. Donald Trump doesn't need money. He can't be bought. Donald Trump is uncontrollable. He cannot be controlled. He's principled. He has not changed his principles, his morals, his values, his stances in forever, since he's been in front of a camera, since the 80s. You can go back and listen to him talk about Iran in the 80s. He has not one single bit changed at all on any of his positions. He is principled. His dad instilled those morals and values in him. He wakes up and shines his own shoes every day. He doesn't allow other people to shine his shoes. That's who you're dealing with. That's why he terrifies the deep state. He cannot be bought. He stands firm. The same way any of us can show up here without being prepared and answer questions and give our opinion because we are principled. Our views do not change.
Yeah. Or if they do change, it's because it's an evidence-based realignment of purpose based on receipts and facts and history and understanding the reality of the world around us.
It's a question of principles, and the reason why we don't have to read from scripts is because we know what we believe. We can say it. Now, it doesn't always flow out of my mouth perfectly. You always choose the right words, and I use a lot of colorful language to get it out there, but
hey,
to
the
accuse
people
me
that
of reading
cuss are
from a
the
script
most
is probably
honest.
yeah, people who cuss are the most honest. I mean, to think that it takes a script, if you believe that people need scripts to say things like this, it's because you don't actually believe what you say.
That's right.
You don't believe.
That's right. That's right. Speaking of colorful language, can we play the Kramer video real quick? Because honestly, I think it's time to move on. There's some other stuff that I want to talk about. We need to talk about the Dignity Act and the absolute backstabbing attempt that's happening in Congress right now with Maria Salazar and a bunch of Republicans and Democrats trying to stab us in the back. We need to spend some time on that. But also, I think we need to close this segment out with some colorful language from one of the best.
Let's do it. Where is it? Where are you at?
It's Kramer.
Where? Oh, got it. Here we go. There it's coming.
Years ago, I had a confrontation with a man in a parking lot. We were getting ready to go at it. But my biggest issue wasn't that dude. I didn't worry about that dude. It was my fucking wife. She was the problem. She wouldn't shut her fucking mouth. She kept yelling, Tim, 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 stop it, Tim. Stop, stop, Tim, Tim, Tim. He wasn't the problem. She was. I finally told her to shut the fuck up. Go! And then I dealt with him. Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, all of them are no different than my wife. Trump is giving us exactly what he promised. But he said no new wars. What he said was America first and peace through strength. How do you think you beat the bully out of a fucking bully? Send him flowers? No, you bomb him out of fucking existence. That's how you do it.
You're watching the Kramer
That
Says
is
Project.
how you do it. You bomb them out of existence, and then you flush every single one of the traitorous turncoats out into the public. And that's exactly what Donald Trump did yesterday. There isn't a single person left hiding in the shadows, infiltrating, trying to sabotage the MAGA movement. You now have every name, you have every post, you have every face that's been involved in this attempted coup d'etat against the movement that we built, and they failed. And I couldn't have put it better. I tried to make a video about this, 2 of them yesterday about this topic, but I have to be aware of the fact that my wife is going to watch it, so I can't use the type of language that perhaps part of me wants to. But nonetheless, it's time for y'all to shut up.
And
because
sometimes
we're
it's
done
necessary.
listening to you.
Yeah.
We're
Shut-
done
literally-
listening to you.
Literally shut the actual fuck up. We don't need your
Yeah.
input. We don't. And especially don't need your
Unbelievable.
input if you are incapable of at least doing the basic amount of work to try to comprehend the bigger fucking picture than the daily news cycle. Look, guys, the outrage campaigns that continue to go on are nothing more than trying to get clicks for every single news item that comes out every day. That's it. And none of it has a damn thing to do with the large picture, the strategy that has been laid out for all of you to read. You just refuse to read it. And I can't help you with that.
You guys have to pray for discernment. Discernment is the number one virtue that you need right now. Discernment. It is very easy when you have discernment to see who is telling you the truth and who is just talking for clicks and likes and attention and money and whatever else. The people that are here doing this because they love this country, you can tell. It is not hard to tell.
Do we need a timeline cleanse? Didn't the backstage fellas, didn't they put together some videos for us today?
They did. We did a time. Yeah, we did a timeline cleanse. All right,
cleanse.
We're going to ultimately get into this later. But let's do. Where are you? Okay, we'll start with this.
Folks,
we'll start with this.
Thanks to the back office crew. You guys are awesome. This is one of the videos that they worked on and put together for us to insert in the timeline to kind of cleanse it from the perverted soil that happens every time we talk about these faggot people. Now we're going to move in and talk about the ridiculous lame ass Republicans and the stuff that they're up to.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, this video is actually, what you're seeing here is actually true. This is a bot farm in China managing one computer's managing like 70 accounts. There's these things are all over the place. By the way, according to Gary at Paramount Tactical, this is Candace's support base.
I didn't even use my nicknames for these people.
We'll get to them.
Agents stealing the show. Turning point malls with secrets to hide. Just asking questions far and wide. It's the Jews, or so she cries. Round and round under conspiracy skies. Eyes rolling worldwide. The rational scope. Her wild yarns unravel. Falling right off. No bites on the bait. She's desperately casting. But those clicks, they're everlasting.
Get that off my screen. That woman is an
What?
absolute
That
demon.
was crazy.
I thought we were cleansing the timeline.
Listen,
That was
hey,
nuts.
I didn't put that last part in there. The rest of that thing was perfect. The devil at the end of it, maybe not so much.
I mean, it's pretty representative of who we're dealing with for sure.
I mean, you have been calling them demon, whatever propaganda slop merchants.
Yeah.
There's another one, but do we want to get
later.
Yeah, we'll play it later because it fits into, I think, how we should end the show as we completely end the career of sloppy constipation.
Yep. Let's do that. All right, folks. I think one thing that we need to be very aware of is that while we are distracted with the FAGA crowd and the propaganda and all the crap that we're drawn into on social media, Congress is actually doing something right now that we have got to be very well aware of because it is picking up an enormous amount of steam. It is bipartisan legislation called the Dignity Act. And SK has an entire rant that she's prepared to give you about anything titled dignity and what you should immediately assume when they're talking about dignity from this context. But the Dignity Act is allegedly a bipartisan piece of legislation that is supposed to solve our immigration crisis. So here's SK's post about it. So Maria Salazar has presented this piece of legislation. I think it has over 30 sponsors, both Republicans and Democrats right now. So SK's response to this was community notes determined it is Maria Salazar that needs to read the bill before you open your mouth. Because Maria Salazar is running around right now trying to convince the American people that the bill that she drafted is not an amnesty bill, when in fact, it is an amnesty bill. And it's very core. They are designing a piece of legislation which is designed entirely to neuter the thing that we voted for in 2024. We voted for mass deportations. I don't know why he endorsed her. Probably because he needed the seat.
Exactly, he needs a seat. So two things. One, yes, he needs on the margins, right? On the spreadsheet of is she good? Is she a good person to be in that seat in South Miami when you've got deportations and all these things going on, and Latinos are they're not jumping ship at all. But I think that it is an easy target for Democrats to go and try to steal that vote if they can. This is a seat that's worth having. But he also knows at the end of the day that if this even works its way through there, he can just fucking veto the thing, frankly. I mean, it's a law. He understands that, right? He can.
He can absolutely veto it. But it doesn't mean that we should ignore the fact that we have Republicans and Democrats who are attempting to usurp our vote of mass deportation and implement an agenda of amnesty. And make no mistake, folks, that's exactly what this bill is. As a matter of fact, Salazar got caught maybe last year, the year before, I'm not sure when, talking about how this is in fact going to be an amnesty bill. Nam, can you pull up what's it called? Dignity Act number 3. Pull up Dignity Act number 3. You need to know this, folks. So when you see Maria Salazar running around trying to convince you that this is not an amnesty bill, here's what you need to remember her saying.
Where is it a video?
Yeah, it's a video.
Oh, you got to tell me when their videos.
Yeah, sorry. Images. Dignity Act number 3.
Dignity Act number 3. All right.
Here we go. This is Maria Salazar. I want you to pay attention to what she says.
At some point in the future, another legislator will write another law to give them path to citizenship. Right now, what we need to do is to buy peace for these people, allow them to stay, to continue working, because they are needed. You see, what I'm trying to do is to bring some common sense, which is the least common of all senses, to this conversation. The economy needs them. They do not have a criminal record. They have not gone into trouble. They have been here for a long time. They have roots in the country. Let them stay. Don't give them any type of federal programs. And allow them to pay taxes, help the Social Security Fund, and let them stay and contribute with the economy with no criminal record. What is wrong with that? We need.
I'll tell you what's wrong with it. A bunch of things are wrong with it. Hey, Nam, you've been studying this closely. What happened the last time that we allowed a bunch of Somali immigrants just to stay in the country? and we were allegedly not giving them any federal benefits. How did they usurp or get around the fact that they couldn't access federal benefits? What were they doing up in Minnesota and out in California?
And in Columbus and basically everywhere. They were they were being
They were stealing
instructed.
them.
Yes, they were being instructed on how to set up fake businesses, and then just giant block grants of trillions of dollars was just handed to them. And they're driving around in Lexuses and Porsches and Audis and big giant houses. But yeah, no, they're not getting any benefits at all. Well, they're scamming the absolute fuck out of us.
That's right. SK, this question's for you. And this is an easy one. All right. This is what we call one of those hanging curve balls that's just going to sit right over the home plate for you to knock out of the park. Do we need 12 to 15 million illegal immigrants in this country to work?
Well, we don't, but the Democrats do. Because who
Let me-
else is going to vote for them, guys?
Can I tell you something? So PatriotDad was down here in my neck of the woods a couple of weeks ago, and as you can attest, my neighborhood is actively being built right now. Like when we moved in here in August, there were like 6 houses in here, and now there's like 15, and there's another 20 lots that are already sold, and they're clearing and building, and almost every single one. So the builder company, I'm not going to name the builder. The builder uses subcontractors to do the work, to lay the concrete slabs. That's a contractor. To do the electrical work, to do the plumbing, to dig, to do the framing, inside, to do the drywall, to do the trim. They're all subcontractors. When I was up at Mississippi State a couple of weeks ago, Mrs. Nom called me because all the neighbors were looking out their blinds as ICE was raiding the neighborhood. Every single one of these subcontractors are using illegal immigrants to do their work. Every single one of them. And ICE came in big white SUVs and raided the neighborhood, and they were literally running away as fast as they could. They were running. They were trying to escape. There were dudes hiding in the porta-johns. I'm not kidding. This is absolute fact. So since then, all work has basically ground to a halt, which is the point that Representative Salazar is trying to make. Now, what did I see today? Today,
a whole bunch of people out there working.
I saw an all-white crew of electricians doing electrical work.
What?
Uh-huh.
Wait a
I saw
minute.
all-white American citizen crew doing electrical work. Did it cost the builder a little bit more money? I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. So don't tell me they don't take jobs or they only take jobs that Americans don't want. There's a lot of Americans who want to start electrical businesses, want to start plumbing business, they want to start framing businesses, but they are endlessly undercut by illegal immigrant businesses or businesses that are using illegal immigrant labor. I'm watching it right here in my neighborhood. They get raided like at least once a quarter. This happens all the time.
But 2 points here. There are already laws on the books where employers are supposed to be fined and for hiring illegal workers. Number one, why don't we just start enforcing those laws?
It's a good question.
But also, when you hear the Democrats stand up with their whole ass chest and say, if we deport these people, who's going to wipe your ass in the nursing home? Who's going to mow your lawn? Who's going to pick your vegetables? It sounds an awful lot to me like, who is going to pick the cotton? The Democrat Party has not changed. The same people that are calling you racist for being a Republican are the same people repeating the Democrat talking points about slavery. The people that saw slaves as farm equipment and saying, well, who's going to pick the cotton are the same people saying, who's going to pick your fruit? Who's going to pick your vegetables? Who's going to wipe your ass? Who's going to clean your house? Who's going to mow your yard? This is how they think of these people. Aside from being votes, they literally just think of them as being servants to them, working for them. That's it.
That's right. Now, I want to walk you guys through what this bill will actually do. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail. But just to give you the highlights, because Maria Salazar and all of the other rhino Republicans and traitors in Congress who are pushing this piece of legislation are trying to convince you that this is not an amnesty bill. Well, you just heard Maria Salazar say that her bill may not be an amnesty bill, but they are fully aware of the fact that someone else will come along behind them and they will write another piece of legislation that will give a pathway to citizenship to all of these people who are in the country illegally and have been made permanent residents through this bill, because that's exactly what this bill will do. This bill is specifically designed to offer potentially, and I'm going to look at the numbers here, potentially up to 2.7 million individuals who came here as minors, referred to as dreamers, permanent pathway to green cards and potential citizenship. That's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that it would offer up to 10.5 to 12 million long-term undocumented immigrants a 7-year renewable deferred action status with work authorization, legal presence, and travel rights in exchange for background checks, back taxes, $7,000 in restitution payments, and compliance. She is suggesting that this piece of legislation that she says is not an amnesty bill will give up to 12 million people permanent status in this country. Folks, do you understand what that's going to do to our economy if we have to continue to house 12 million immigrants in this country who are going to be competing for you against you in the grocery stores? They're going to be competing against you in housing and apartments and purchasing new homes and education and employment. The reason why we saw 9% inflation in 1 year, cumulatively up to 40% inflation throughout Biden's administration, is because of these 12.5 to 15 million people. And we now have a Republican that is suggesting that we just make them permanent. We just pretend like they didn't just break the law. We pretend like they weren't here sucking off the teat of the American people for however many years. And we just say, come on in, let us do a background check, pay us a few $1,000s, and we'll allow you to stay for the rest of your lives. If
And
that's
the
not
DUI
amnesty, I don't
doesn't-
know what is.
DUIs don't disqualify you either. So these people that are out there drinking and driving without a license and all that, that doesn't count as a crime. When Data Republican reposted someone's post today that was furious, talking about, I got arrested and put in jail for trespassing on property, and they want to give amnesty to these people that literally trespassed into our country. This is not okay. Nothing
Nope.
about this is okay.
Well, now
This
you know.
is
Now, hold on.
amnesty.
Now you know why. Listen, nothing goes on in Congress in a vacuum, right? So everybody knew that this bill was being worked on, and frankly, you know, for Salazar to run around and say this isn't amnesty, and you know, say a lot of things that she's saying about the bill that just isn't true. One, she's not writing it. We know who these groups are. We know who these lobbyists that are writing it, right? The lobbyists get together. It's the punch bowl media. It's those folks that they are the ones that are creating, producing these bills. You probably have the Catholic Charities, all the same NGOs that brought those people here are the ones that are actually writing this legislation. And then they're giving her an executive summary of what it says. And she has no clue what's actually in it. In the meantime, what do we have going on in the Senate? They won't move on the SAVE Act, right? So keep them here. But while we're at it, let's get them here. Let's get them, you know, legal permanent status. But we're going to do absolutely nothing to make sure that they can't vote either at the same time. Guys, they are trying to run out the clock on President Trump. That's it.
That's right.
And they're going to try to get back to
exactly
business as usual.
That's exactly what they're doing.
And this is the UN again, and the same ecosystem that we've been telling you about. They use the words dignity. They use all of these words that give me an actual visceral reaction. Like, I would be perfectly fine never hearing the word democracy ever again for the rest of my life. Dignity, equity, abundance economy, well-being economy. I have a whole list I could tell you. Okay. It's bad. These same people are the ones that are responsible for writing these bills. You have to remember UNHCR helped fund bringing entire migrant caravans here. These people that have been out protesting in Minnesota and all over the place, they worked with the migrant caravans. They were out there giving them food and water and helping them get here. These same people on the left are the same people that wrote this bill and are pushing this bill and telling people like Maria Salazar that it is not an amnesty bill when in fact it is an amnesty bill. You can't believe anything these people tell you.
the best part about it is they put the dog whistle right in the name of it, the dignity bill, right?
Yep.
So every single person that we've been talking about engaged in this color revolution going back more than a year now, the Dignity Index and Disagree Better and all the organizations that SK just rattled off, they all know, oh, okay, I know what this is because it has their dog whistle word in it. Dignity, democracy, all of those dog whistles exist, and they put it right in the fucking name of it. They're laughing at you. They are laughing at you.
And there is always a greater purpose. They have a reason for every single thing they do. Everything they do is calculated. They sit around multiple times a week and discuss these things out in the open. We have their entire playbook. It is very easy to counter if you pay attention. You can look for the buzzwords and you immediately know, okay, I don't think this is what it sounds like on the surface. And you can look deeper, and every time without fail, it is true. Just like Promethean Action and whatever else this video is that came out exposing Maria Stefan and, you know, these people for the color revolution and these government employees that are, you know, doing the color revolution on U.S. soil, the CIA operating on U.S. soil. We've been telling you about this for months and months and months and months and months. We've shown you the videos of them discussing it. They're posted on my X feed. Nobody pays attention.
Yep. Well, I want to deal with this comment because I saw this scroll through a little while ago. You know, I'm sorry, but I'm just not all that concerned about the dignity of a bunch of people who snuck into our country, broke our laws, did significant damage to our economy for a very long period of time. In some cases, have stolen hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars from the American people. I'm concerned about the dignity of these people right here. Carpenters, electricians, plumbers. How about high school students who can no longer get a first job doing basic menial work anymore because they're competing with fully grown, supposedly functioning adults working in McDonald's? There used to be a time when we were kids, Nom, SK, I don't know if you experienced this, but when we were kids, when we were 16, we went out and got a job. And even though we were in school and we were wrestling and playing soccer and doing that stuff, we still had a part-time job. We went to work for Wendy's and I think Arby's, and I worked at a movie theater when I was in high school. That doesn't happen hardly at all anymore because the people who have taken those jobs are 30-year-old illegal immigrants and immigrants who have come into the country. What that means is our kids are having their development and their ability to earn marketable skills that they can later turn into higher paying jobs down the road. It's being delayed by years.
So listen, everybody knows that I got 3 boys and all of them have recently gone through high school, right? The youngest one just graduated high school last year. The oldest one is a senior in college right now. Now, all 3 of them luckily were able to find jobs, but almost none of their friends were able to find jobs. Almost none of them. In fact, just like you said, you went down the street to the McDonald's, to the Arby's, to the Wendy's, all the places that they should have been working. And just like you, this is 100% true in the suburb that I lived in. The suburb that I lived in, they were full-grown South American, Central American men and women working those jobs who didn't speak a lick of English. Those are jobs that those high school age kids should have been working.
That's right.
And by the way,
Anyway.
the reason why your value meal is $12 at McDonald's is because those people are trying to afford to feed a family of 6 on the minimum wage. So their minimum wage, because nobody pays minimum wage, their entry-level wage at McDonald's was something like $19 an hour so that they could do it. So you got screwed all the way up one side and down the other. You're paying 10 times as much as you were a few years ago.
That's right. You can't go to Wendy's anymore and spend less than $40 to get 4 value meals. It's insane. And it's not just because of, transitory inflation. A lot of it has to do with the fact that you've got 15 million extra people in the country driving up the cost of everything.
Yeah.
And it's time that they go home. I'm sorry. No amnesty whatsoever. No ability to even pretend that this bill is not amnesty. It absolutely is amnesty, and it has to be defeated immediately.
Yep.
Immediately.
And I will say there is no shame in raising your kids to go to trade school, learn a trade while you're teaching them to be entrepreneurs. You're teaching them how to invest. You're teaching them how to manage money, how to write checks, how to balance a checkbook, how to be able to do all of these things. If they learn a trade, they can work for a short period of time in the trade. They can start their own business, and then they can sit back and manage their business and bring in the money. That's what you do. I have 2 kids. One of them starting their master's program. The other one went to trade school all through high school, and immediately out of high school got a huge raise, bought a house at 20 years old. And I'm not at all worried about him. And he's literally the one that is working in a trade.
Hold on, but it depends on the trade. I mean, we just saw this play out. If it's the sort of lower skilled trades like cement and carpentry and framing and roofing and all of those things, you don't need certifications to do that.
But that's where the teenage work comes in.
Yes,
because
I
as
understand,
a
but they
teenager,
can't do it.
you go
They
to
can't do
work
it.
and you learn all those things. You learn how to frame. You learn how
I
to pour
know.
concrete. You learn how to bring the bricks to the mason. You learn all of those things, and then you can move up. You can start your own business. You can become the contractor hiring those people, and then you know when it's being done right and when it's not being done right. That's where the high school kids and the early young adults come in.
Yep.
That's right.
I completely get it. No, I understand.
So
I can't
Mom,
believe that we're a year into the second term and we're still having this conversation with Congress. What the actual fuck? I thought we literally just had an election about this.
They don't care, Nom. They don't care. They have their own agenda, and it is not ours. And the only way that we stop them from implementing their agenda is to shove ours in their face every single waking moment of the day. Now, if you're in the Senate and the only people you listen to are K Street backed newsletters that people like Data Republican and SK and others have exposed, Congress has the exact Punchbowl News. Congress has the exact same type of influence in your ear every day. Folks, you've got to get loud about this. You have to get in their faces on this one. This will be this will literally destroy our country if they're somehow able to give permanent residence for 15 million people for the rest of their lives, which is effectively what this bill is proposing they do. Sure, it's only in 7-year increments, but all you got to do is go back 7 years from now and just get permanent residence again. That's it. That's what they're proposing. They are proposing to take the entire mass deportation agenda, because this bill, if it actually gets passed and turned into law, halts deportation.
Well, so not only listen, you get the 15 million in 7-year increments. That's fine, but every single year in those 7 years, they're bringing family members over. They're having children. Those children they have natural born citizenship. They are now they're all citizens, and the chain migration continues. The same fucking thing that we just had an election over just continues as if we didn't just have an election about this.
And it's not just chain migration. What do you think happens when the entire world impoverished realizes that all you have to do is get to this country, and suddenly Maria Salazar's bill is going to give you the potential of permanent resident status?
We just saw it
life.
Over the last 4 years. We just saw it.
You had millions of people come in and they weren't guaranteed anything. They were just told, show up. We'll let you hide. This will guarantee status for life for these people. You want to talk about it's insane.
Here is the core of this, though. You said it. You said we just had an election over this. The American people spoke. We elected Donald Trump, and one of the things we elected him for was mass deportations and securing the border. If you pay attention, the Democrats are intentionally blocking. It's one of the B's in their literal playbook, blocking Donald Trump. when they try to impeach Donald Trump and they call for impeachment, they call for the 25th Amendment, and they call for all of these things, these same people that scream about democracy all day, every fucking day, are the exact same people that do not respect the vote of the American people. When they say democracy, they don't actually mean like the people vote, and what the people vote for is who wins, and that's what we go with. What they mean is, if you don't vote for what we want you to vote for, we're just going to do everything we can to overturn that election through impeachments, through the 25th Amendment, through saying, you know, Donald Trump stepping all over the Constitution, through the captured judiciary, through the UN, through the EU, through all of our adversaries. You have Democrats that are standing on the public world stage they're standing with Iran. You guys, if there is anyone in the United States that is on social media, that is an elected official, that is an influencer, that is anything at all whatsoever, standing with Iran over Donald Trump, unfollow, block, whatever. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Biden. I don't care if it's Obama. I don't care if it's Clinton. If you are an American in the United States and you are not standing with the president of the United States on the world stage, you do not deserve a seat in Congress. You do not deserve a voice on social media. If you claim to be America first and you're standing with an adversary over the president of the United States, you need to fuck all the way off and then take a seat on several sharp objects. You don't belong here.
No, she's right. So listen, this is I superseded your comment from Ice Courts because Ice Courts sent a $5 Rumble rant, and thanks Mag and Jake for bringing it over so we could get it here. Salazar's got billboards all over Florida addressing this bill. She is very, very serious about this. She's addressing Trump directly about the bill. She's begging President Trump to get on board with this. Please do an episode or tell us where to look for info about Mappin and Farmers Steel connection. We haven't done an actual video on this yet. I think we're getting close. So John Mappin and the farmers and their connection to Christopher Steele through Richard Dearlove, just their relationships and the organizations that they worked they worked with one another. So here's how this works, right? Because trust me, this is more connection than you see coming from these people in the allegations that they're making. Say, for instance, about, I don't know, Turning Point USA. Christopher Steele was hired by Fusion GPS. Fusion GPS was paid by the DNC, the Hillary Clinton campaign, to come up with the Steele dossier. Christopher Steele worked on the Russia desk in the UK with MI6. His boss was Richard Dearlove. Richard Dearlove and George Farmer's father are great friends and have run in the same circles for a very long time. George Farmer, obviously, is Lord Farmer's son, and then he meets Candace, and 18 days later, they're in a whirlwind, engagement, and then all of a sudden, Candace is basically regurgitating the City of London, the London central bankers, and the UK's propaganda, because the UK has been at the center of trying to thwart President Trump since the day he came down the escalator in 2015, because they have the most to lose from what President Trump is trying to accomplish. Understand, they don't produce anything in the UK. Nothing. The only thing that they produce is moving money from point A to point B, is contracts, is insurance contracts, futures markets. They produce nothing. And it's an existential threat to them when the global regime shifts away from that monetary system and that control over the shipping lanes, over the contracts, all of that stuff, to a more regional system where we're producing our own oil, we're trading regionally here, you guys are trading, we got some relationships going on. But no, they lose control over all of that, and they have everything to lose, not just the most to lose, everything to lose. That's those
right.
connections for you.
That's right. That's right.
And you have to throw in Dugan. Russia is a huge part of this as well. When you expand it and you start looking at the entire network, Dugan is an important part. And I will give you a little hint here. I think Lisa has an article coming out soon that hopefully will address this. So I won't give away too much information. But there is a group that has that wants an alliance between the United States and Russia. And that's important to remember.
That's right.
So this is the comment, Andrew, I meant to make on that $20 super chat. Thank you so much for that. I missed the field where I could put a comment. Thank you to all three of you. I can't wait to see arrests of the Black Pillars, Panicans. I don't think you're going to see many arrests of the Black Pillars and Panicans. At the end of the day, they have free speech. They have First Amendment rights to say really stupid things. The question is, are they violating Foreign Agents Registration Act? I don't know. We'll see if it gets to that point. But they have the First Amendment right to say the most retarded things, and they take you up on it every day.
That's
which,
right.
by the
And
way,
you
we'll
have
probably do for a timeline cleanse.
Hold on real quick. And we have the responsibility of discerning when people are saying ridiculous, stupid propaganda things to us. It's our job to make sure that we are listening carefully, validating what you're hearing, and realizing that 95% of what you're seeing on social media today is probably fake. Probably fake. And before you jump over to a timeline cleanse, I did see this comment, and he's appreciate Jeff Stenbaum. A couple times has asked this. I'm going to keep asking this. Did anyone see Tucker Carlson say we can't criticize Muslims anymore? I saw the clip. I don't know if that's exactly what he said. I think his point was that it's below the office of the president of the United States to criticize Islam. And to that, I wholly disagree with him 100%. But we know that because Tucker Carlson has gone off the rails. At this point, we should look at Tucker Carlson just like we look at Candace Owens. He's totally off the rails. He's off the reservation. And he should not be trusted, period. He has an agenda, and it is not your agenda. I can guarantee you that.
Yep.
Timeline cleanse.
Well, the bride of bullshit sure had a guilty conscience today when people were posting about the fact that investigations were going to happen into influencers to see who was getting paid by foreign entities. And she reposted somebody that didn't even mention her name and said, I'm not going to be one of them, and tagged this person. She's got a guilty conscience, and she's definitely the bride of bullshit. I have a whole list. I very quickly today was spicy and came up with a lot of nicknames for a lot of these people.
Hey, Jake, can you grab that next Rumble rant from Ice Courts and bring it over to YouTube so I can put it on the screen? Because it is the perfect segue into my timeline cleanse, because the clown that we're all going to talk about next, what's his name?
Project Constipation?
Project Constipation, Sloppy Constipation, the clown. This is he fits. I mean, he is Candace's like #1 lapdog, though he is probably going to bring a lot of pain if he's sitting in her lap. I mean, this is a big fat fucking slob of a human being that we're talking about here, right?
Send him some Imodium.
Like a big fucking slob.
But we need to send him some Imodium or something like that, because he has multiple problems, because he has diarrhea of the mouth and constipation of the brain. So I'm not sure exactly how that's fixed. Does anybody have any suggestions?
The diarrhea of the mouth is going to end up getting him sued. And I'm relatively certain, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing the reason why there hasn't been a response to what he did last night is because they're going to talk through their lawyers. But here comes the timeline cleanse.
But I'm a patriot source, standing tall and true, with a Bible in my hand and old glory flying blue.
Was that it?
That was it. That's the timeline cleanse. That's the time, because Project Constipation, Sloppy Constipation. Maga Jake, did you get that thing over there? Did I miss it? Regarding
I haven't seen it. He probably didn't
I'll
hear
read
you.
it. I'll read it. So we've got a $5 Rumble rant from Ice Courts that said there is a scandal about how you basically donate to Tories and to get into the House of Lords. There are articles about George's dad buying his lordship. So the reason why this is a very, very nice segue into the topic that I would like to cover next. Did you guys see what Sloppy Constitution here did on X last night and for the last couple of days?
Wait,
where he
was he actually physically in the tinfoil twat's ass?
Twat's ass. Listen, if you're going to say that word, you
I
have to
don't
say it
think
like a
this
good.
guy fits.
You have-
This guy
you
doesn't
have-
fit in anything except the
A lot
clown
of things
costume. Have you
probably
I
seen
mean,
fit
this
in
guy?
his
I
ass,
don't
though.
know.
I'm willing to bet a lot of
think
things fit in his
Candace's
ass,
is
though.
probably pretty spacey.
Anyway, so listen, if you're going to use that word SK, you have to say it like a good Brit, like my buddy Nick does. Twats. They're called twats.
Twat.
Right?
Yeah,
twat.
the tinfoil twat.
Tinfoil twat. So you guys saw what this guy did, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, I saw it. It was one of the most disgusting hatchet jobs I think I've ever seen, and so easily debunked. I have to assume that there are going to be lawsuits flying over this.
I would
There has to
imagine.
be.
So the reason I'm bringing this up, right? So we know that sloppy Constitution here is he considers himself to be Candace's best good general, like the best toe shrimping, boot licking general that she has. He came out last night and the other day, and he basically accused Dan Bongino of using his position as the deputy director of the FBI to cover up Turning Point USA's role in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, because, in his own words, Paula Bongino, Dan Bongino's wife, worked for Turning Point USA, and he was protecting Paula. That's what Sloppy Constitution did last night. And I'm going to show it to you because this is the anatomy. This is the blueprint of how they do these hoaxes. Okay, understand that. I'm going to play a video from him, or from Bongino, and then I'm going to show you how he twists it to say something that was never said, and then builds an entire narrative based on that initial lie. Dan Bongino did not say that his wife works for Turning Point USA. All right. Real quick. Let me get to it.
That's right.
Wait.
What
Oh,
that's right. What causes
I think I've told you the story way before Charlie was tragically murdered. My wife is friends with Andrew and was friends with Charlie because she handled all the schedule items. So Andrew would reach out to her, like they talked more than I did about events. We've known Andrew forever. Andrew and Charlie were like this. Anyone who knows Charlie knows that.
so that video right there is what Sloppy Constitution is using in his initial claim from 3 days ago, where he says Dan Bongino just admitted his wife worked for Andrew Colvett and Turning Point USA doing their scheduling. That's not what he said. That's not what he said at all. What he said was his wife did the scheduling for Dan Bongino for the Dan Bongino show. And when they had to schedule with Turning Point USA, they communicated with Andrew Colvett. This is how it works. This is how this works. And then he goes on, to say, Bongino admitted that Paula worked directly for Andrew Colvett and TPUS handed scheduling. He even bragged they talk almost every day and knew Andrew forever. Wait a minute, Dan. You were the man in charge of investigating the death of Charlie Kirk. How's that your wife was on the payroll of the very people whose official
Holy
narrative
crap.
you are now defending? If you
This
had done an
guy-
actual, this guy's fucked. This guy's
guy
fucked.
he is currently sitting under 2 cease and desist orders right now. And you know damn well he's getting ready to have everything that he has ever possibly owned and anything he might own in the future taken away from him. At this point, I don't think he cares. He has nothing left.
You guys are talking about an oxygen thieving human Reddit thread. You cannot take anything this guy says seriously. He's an absolute basement bunker boy. This guy lives in his mom's basement and makes shit up to impress Candace Owens because he wants to live permanently inside her anus.
Right. So then he goes on, and this is what he did yesterday, right? This is what he did yesterday. And he builds on that narrative that he created, which he basically, he built, this is the narrative that he sent out on April 3rd, where he starts it by says Dan Bongino just admitted his wife worked for Andrew Colvett and TPUSA during their scheduling. And this is how he's going to try to skate out of this. Are the Bonginos colluding with Turning Point USA to railroad Tyler Robinson? That is the stretch that they made from completely mischaracterizing the original video to begin with.
No. He didn't mischaracterize.
Well, hold on.
He
I'm
lied.
not done yet.
He lied. He flat
lied.
out lied is what he did.
He lied.
He lied. And he
then
knowingly lied.
Yes. And then the next shot, right? The next shot that he takes after he lets that complete and total lie settle in, a couple of days later, he comes back and he says, Dan Bongino is exposed as a deep state gatekeeper protecting child traffickers because he brushed off John Walsh's daughter who begged for his help. And then he goes down 3 paragraphs and he ties it in. He says, in my last post, I exposed Bongino's massive conflict of interest. His wife works for TPUSA, the very organization at the center of Charlie Kirk investigation, while he is deputy director, is supposedly leading the probe. What's the problem with all of this, guys? What's the problem?
The FBI is not the one who is investigating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The state of Utah is.
That's okay, but that's a problem, but that's not the problem. The problem, and this is what they will never do. I went in that thread and I just asked, hey, Grok, is it true? Did Paula Bongino work for Turning Point USA, or did she do the scheduling for Bongino's show and public appearances, requiring her to interact with TPUSA regularly when they engaged with Dan? And Grok didn't answer me last night, and I was kind of annoyed. So I came back this morning. I was like, why didn't you respond to my question? And he said, no, Paula Bongino did not work for Turning Point USA. Public records, her bios, and multiple sources confirm she was a web developer, blah, blah, blah. Professional interaction was, it's a lie. It's built on a complete and total lie that any fucking moron could have just asked Grok in the comments and said, hey, is this true? And Grok said, no.
This is beyond just a lie. There's a legal definition of this. It's called defamation per se.
Yeah.
This is a flat out attempt to slander the character of another person when you knowingly lie about them. This is illegal. It is a civil crime to commit this. And if this guy's not sued beyond below the jail or below the courthouse, I don't know what's wrong with these people. It is a crime to do what he just did.
Well, I believe it's not only is it slander, I believe it is also libel, because the intent here is to impact Dan Bongino's ability to continue his show and make money. Right? This is a professional attack on Dan Bongino. It's a professional attack.
Damages. Because in order to find someone liable in this situation, there has to be some type of monetary damages. And this was designed to damage his actual business.
Right.
This dude needs to be sued into tomorrow.
Yeah. It's also jury tampering, in my opinion, too.
Yeah.
But
just a couple of things to address here. Ted Zone says when y'all talk trash, when y'all talk people, it makes you look just like them. Stick with the facts, not your opinions. We are not going to change the world by calling other people names.
No, but we're going to have fun doing it.
We're going to have fun, and you should probably lighten up and laugh a little, because it's okay to laugh. And when these people are actual idiots, it's okay to laugh at them. Also, we have an actual queen in the building, but Queen Tora, just so you know, my name actually means princess. So just so we're all clear, it is proven that it was NomDePlume on the Patriot Source podcast that brought the word retard back into the public lexicon. And then within weeks, President Trump was using it. So I don't actually care what you think about this, Ted Zone. If you don't like my language, you don't have to listen to it. And if you don't like us every now and then, like making fun of people and like having fun and joking and cutting up a little bit, I don't know what to tell you. Turn on CNN, Fox. I don't know. Even Fox makes fun of people and calls people names. So
look, there's a reason.
I don't know what to tell you.
There's a reason why we do this. It's not because here's just to give you a reason. So years and years ago, the left adopted a set of tactics called Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. Those of you guys have been around for a while, you've probably at least heard about the rules for radicals, right? Well, one of my most favorite rules, I think it's either rule number 5 or 4, I can't remember, 4, is ridicule is man's most potent weapon. Meaning, if you can find a way to stigmatize an individual that needs to be stigmatized because they're idiots and morons, ridicule is the best tactic to do that with. Now, that doesn't mean you like it, but it's effective.
And
So
I
no,
just
we're not
happen to
gonna
be
stop.
really good at it. So
Yeah, and SK is I'm not that good at it. SK is amazing at it. So if you don't like it, sorry. It's
and
just
I
what it is.
have this innate ability to be able to debate people, and during the debate, I can be making a complete mockery of them, and they have no idea because I can do it with such class, and they don't even catch on because they're not smart enough to catch on.
And then other times she talks about people wanting to live inside of someone's anus. There's no class in that, but that's what rule number 4 does.
There is no class in that. I get it. I
No.
know. I'm sorry.
Listen,
My parents are
I've-
probably both going to call me over that one, but it's okay.
Listen, I'm 48 years old. I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps around a bunch of Marines, crayon eaters. I'm not going to change. That's just, I'm sorry. If my language offends you, I appreciate you watching, but you don't have to stay. But I'm not going to
I
change.
make fun of
My
myself.
wife can't get me to stop doing it. I'm not going to stop doing it. Ted Stranger, I'm not going to do it.
I make fun of everybody around me, people I love. If I'm not making fun of you, I don't like you. I make fun of myself. You got to laugh. I don't know how people make it through life without laughing and joking.
As we wrap up, can we play Spencer Pratt? Can we play the Spencer Pratt video? SK, I don't know if you saw this, but
Do we have
this dude is yeah, it's called Spencer Pratt for Mayor Energy.
I didn't see it. I saw
Holy
that you sent
moly.
it, but I didn't watch it. But I will say, I've said multiple times, who would have ever guessed that Spencer Pratt was the hero we didn't know we needed? Because Spencer Pratt was a hot mess when I watched him on Laguna Beach and the hills and all of that. Him and Heidi. I mean, those people were a mess. And now,
Dude, I
look at
watched
this
that
guy.
show. It's great.
I am not gonna.
I watched every minute of it. Not gonna lie.
I am not going to pretend that I agree with Spencer Pratt on probably 90% of the things that he probably believes in. Honestly, I don't even know what he believes in, and I don't care what he believes in because I don't live in LA. I don't live in California. He has absolutely zero ability to affect my day-to-day life running for mayor in the state of California. But what I do know is that this is exactly the type of energy that built the MAGA base and we have to figure out how to return this energy right here. So this is Spencer Pratt. After finding out that somebody at the LA Times started harassing his family, apparently somebody who's closely connected to the Democrat candidate who is who's basically a comrade of Mayor, whatever her name is, Bass, the lady from Cuba, who spent time, Karen Bass, learning how to be an actual communist in Cuba. But one of her sidekicks is also running for mayor. And apparently somebody at the LA Times got a hold of contact information for Spencer Pratt's family and started harassing them. And this is Spencer Pratt's, a part of his response. And it's incredible. We need to figure out how to get this type of energy back between now and the midterms. This is awesome. Go ahead and play it real quick.
Come on. I hit play.
Come on, Spencer
Is it
Pratt.
big?
We need.
Just
No,
so
it's
we
pretty
know,
small.
Just so we know, Spencer Pratt has always been
We'll
on
try
the
again.
conservative side, and
It's
a lot
trying
of
to
people
come
didn't
up.
like
Hit
him because he
piece
wanted a
about me, about my
traditional family. He wanted his wife to stay home. He wanted her to be beautiful, plastic surgery, all that stuff, and people didn't like that.
Got it. Okay.
They want to try and write a
Mr.
hit
Pratt, here you
piece
go.
about me, about my residency, because I've had my family sheltered up in my dad's rental home in SP, and they want to attack me for not living in the Palisades while running for mayor. Hey, brain surgeon, my house burned down. You guys let my entire neighborhood burn down, remember? The burned out lot I own in the Palisades is still my legal residence, where we are trying to rebuild in the face of Karen Basura and Nithya Raman and our broken city leadership putting up every hurdle imaginable to make it harder and harder for us to rebuild. Don't forget, I made the choice to run for mayor 3 months ago.
That's why I am running for mayor.
You see, schemers like Raman and Basura and their media sickos can't fathom that I didn't have some grand scheme to run for mayor like these slimy career politicians. I didn't plan any of this. I wasn't thinking, I really need to make sure I stay in the zip code in case I run for mayor. I was just trying to find the safest place to go where I could try and give my kids the most normal life that I could after these clowns nearly destroyed our life as we knew it. But guess what? Pratt Daddy used his SBA disaster loan to get an Airstream craned into my burned out lot in the Palisades. Sure, thanks to Karen Basura, it'll take a whole month for LADWP to get our power connected, but my Palisades war room is back. Like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon, I'm living in my trailer by the beach and I'm winning this race. Unlike Nithya, who spent her whole life in either India or on the East Coast, didn't even step foot in California till her 30s, knows nothing about our city. I was born here, went to school at USC, I bleed Dodger blue, this is my city and I'm taking it back.
Let's do it, asshole.
Oh, that was hooked me up.
Who would have thought if you watched Laguna Beach back in the early 2000s, put a 1 in the comments, who would have ever thought that that guy, Spencer Pratt, would have grown up to be that? Who would have thought that we would have been cheering for him, saying that's the hero we didn't even know we needed?
This is what happens when you allow state and city officials to create an environment where your entire livelihood goes up in flames. And not only that, but then makes it absolutely impossible for them to rebuild their life. You run for mayor and you take your city back. And look, I'm sure we have some things that I would align with Spencer Pratt on, but I absolutely align with that type of energy. Taking back LA is no different than taking this country back from the globalists that Donald Trump has been systematically dismantling. And all we have to do, folks, those of you in the chat, in the audience who are catching this later on recording, we just have to allow the strategy to operate. And then we have to be willing to fight in the trenches to make sure people understand what they just saw and why it's working the way it's working. That's our job. That's our responsibility. Our responsibility in this digital conflict that we're in right now is to help people understand what they're seeing. That's our job. That's your job. That's our job. And to take this damn country back. We gave Donald Trump the mandate. He gave the agenda. We gave him the mandate. We just have to let it work. We have to give him the space to operate, knowing that tomorrow's headlines are probably not going to align perfectly with the things that are going to make you comfortable when you're interacting with people on social media. And that's okay. You just have to be all right with the reality that we are going to get to the end result, which is a globalist system collapsed, an American system implemented, a Middle East that is free of an agent of chaos, a global system designed on regional control where we can build our country and our community the way we want, and so can the Middle East, and so can Asia, and so can Europe, and so can anybody else that wants to participate. And if you don't want to participate, well, guess what? You might get the strength end of the peace bargain. That's just the way it works.
Can I just add another fine point onto that, right? So, listen, this actually is a zero-sum game, right? When it comes to the United States leading from the front or anybody else in the world leading. When the United States is on the march forward, everybody else does better. I mean, that's just a fact. Everybody else will do better. When any other country in the world is actually on the march and we're on the decline, everybody's going to suffer. We watched it in 4 years under Biden, right? The United States took a backseat. The country, I mean, they've been trying to do it for decades. We've watched the slow decline, and then we watched the auto pen, just allow the rest of the world to run roughshod. And what did you get? You got a ground invasion, Russia into Ukraine. You had Hamas, attacking Israel. Everybody was attacking everybody. It was absolute chaos. You had 25% compound inflation going on, transitory. We had COVID. We've got bioweapons being tested. I mean, it's an absolute disaster. When the U.S. is on the march and we actually have a strategy and we have a plan and we're bringing people along with us and folks are like working in the same direction. it's going to be okay. But we have to understand that there are significant forces that are fighting against us. And unfortunately, some of them actually pretended to be on our side. And I'm sorry, we're going to take them out. You have no business in this movement any longer. We don't want you. We don't need you. You can shut the fuck up. And Democrats, we're just going to keep doing to you what we've always been doing to you because, frankly, you're retarded. Just go away.
That's right. That's right. Do we have anything else in the Dropbox? I think we covered
There's
it
all
all, didn't we?
there's all kinds of stuff. Like apparently I heard Glenn Beck went crazy
Yeah,
today.
but it needs to be cut. It was like over 5
Okay.
minutes. So I stuck it in there because I couldn't send it in text. But yeah, he said some good stuff. And
All right.
JD Vance talking about the black pillars and how bad it is. We need to address this, you guys. The reason we're calling them names, we have to address this. We have to cut these people off and ignore them and focus. Keep your eye on the prize. Don't be distracted by the bullshit that's coming from the black pillars.
I
Keep
think
your
I
eye
have
on the
it.
prize.
Yeah,
I
bring
think I
that
have
up
JD
because
I think I have
I
JD.
want to address. I think he kind of missed an opportunity here, and I want to address this. It doesn't have a name to it. It's just a screen recording one, screen recording and a bunch of numbers, MP4.
That's the JD one.
Yeah, I believe this is the right one. Yeah, we'll
Let's
find
see
out.
here. We'll take a look.
It's
Here.
the one with the purple background.
I got it. Okay, it's coming up. It's not moving very quickly, but it's
give to you.
This one.
And I give it to American students, American conservatives in particular, is resist the temptation to think that victory is immediate or that we're going to win back our civilization through instant gratification. I mean, this institution was founded in 1996. It's far more influential than it was back then, but I think a lot of people, this is particularly true in the United States of America, if they see something that the administration does they don't like, they say, oh, that's not what we voted for, we're going to check out of politics. No. That's the exact wrong response. If we do something you don't like, the response should be to get more involved, to make your voice heard, and to try to push things in the direction that you want them to be pushed. Our civilization was not built overnight. It's not going to be saved overnight. And so what I'd encourage you to do is stay involved, be patient, and don't let disappointment turn to checking out of the system entirely. There's way too much of that, I would say, in the Anglo system and the American system. There's way too much, I didn't like this thing that the vice president said, or I didn't like this thing that the president did, and I'm going to completely check out. We call that blackpilling in the United States of America, and blackpilling is how you give power to the forces that are trying to destroy what our ancestors built. We need to take power back from those people and build the kind of institutions that can actually save our societies. It will not happen overnight. It will not happen in the term of one prime minister or one president, but it will happen so long as we keep our faith in God and we work hard to achieve it. That's what we have to do.
Amen. Amen.
What just happened? Yeah, I mean, look, I appreciate everything he said, and he's spot on, except for one thing, and I want to make sure we address this, folks. When I talk about the black pill, fake ass, want to be America first crowd, I'm not talking about people who are fed up with the election process and politics and want to step away. I'm talking about people who are intentionally infiltrating a movement that they did not build. They've never been able to build anything sustainable on their own. They've tried. You've seen them attempt it multiple times. You saw it attempted with Ron Paul and that stupid revolution that basically inserted itself in the Tea Party, and it collapsed. You saw it kind of gin up a little bit with Bernie Sanders and the Bernie Bros, and it collapsed. These are the exact same people who don't know how to build anything. All they know how to do is try to co-opt and run coup d'etats against existing movements, thinking that if they're successful, they will be able to take the millions of people of support that Donald Trump has already built and just shift them over to their preferred radical candidate, whether it's a radical woke rightist or if it's a radical progressive socialist leftist. They're the same people. That's who the black pillars are. So I think I appreciate everything he said, and I recognize he was probably talking to the masses out there who don't pay close enough attention and who aren't part of the 9% of the public who are on X right now watching this play out. But the black pill people that I'm talking about, are not just folks who are fed up. They are folks who are intentionally trying to destroy something they couldn't create. But the good news is, as El Rushbo used to tell us all the time, you can't destroy something that you didn't create. This is the reason why they can't take Donald Trump down, because they didn't create him. Every other politician that these globalists have been able to or insert into the system, they could also destroy because they created them. They didn't create MAGA, they can't destroy it. They didn't create Donald Trump, they can't destroy him. So instead, they try to usurp and steal it. And unfortunately for them, on Tuesday, that all came crashing down on their heads. All of it.
Yep.
Because everything that they've been promising was going to happen over the last 6 weeks was proven to be false. Just like everything that they said about Donald Trump since he stepped back into office in January has proven to be false. These people they don't have good intentions. They can't build. We showed you the names of the See You Next Tuesday group earlier. And if you want, I can throw this up it's already on my X account. You can go grab that list. Any single one of these people that you see commenting, posting, you should immediately recognize they're probably lying to you.
This is a $2 Rumble rant from Ice Quartz again. Man, Ice Quartz is like doling out the cash today. Thanks, dude. It's good to let the boomers clean up their mess. Wars, the Middle East, offshoring of jobs, manufacturing, national debt. Trump and boomers are finally doing something for someone else. Let them do it. The problem, I actually have a bit of an issue with that, because the people who are, Trump is the only one who's trying to clean this mess up. And he's built a coalition of people who had nothing to do with this. And he is continuing to fight the people who actually created this mess. And unfortunately, like PatriotDad just said, the black pillars, as he refers to them, are working basically on behalf of the boomers who caused all this mess. They absolutely are.
Yeah.
That's a good
It's funny,
question,
Kyle, when we were in the green room earlier, I was flowing through my X profile and I started to notice in the comments, and you're probably seeing this as well. I don't know if you spend any time on X or not, but you're probably starting to see this. The chat is starting to get it. They're understanding who these sock puppet accounts are. They're starting to be able to recognize the propaganda that's being pushed. I mean, it's not hard anymore. I think we've done a really effective job of helping people understand what it looks like, where it comes from, what it's intended to do. And when I go through the threads of these fake ass wannabe black pill America first losers, I'm seeing the chat crushing these people. They are losing this war. Every single day it gets worse and worse and worse for them. Nobody believes Ian Carroll anymore. Nobody believes, there's still some drunk wino, housewives out there who still think Candace Owens is right, even though she hasn't been right about it. But most of these idiots are totally discredited, and people know it. You're seeing their engagement collapse. You're seeing their credibility disappear. You're starting to see people in their comment section tell them to their face, you're full of crap. We are winning this fight, folks. And as a matter of fact, one last thing that I want to throw up here before we wrap up. Did you guys see this? I know that Harry Enton over on CNN, he's probably one of the few people that actually calls things as he sees them. I don't know what his agenda is. Maybe he's just interested in telling the truth. But did you guys see this from him just a few days ago? Hold on. I want to set this up. So we have been told that Democrats are running away with the midterms, right? And this is important because everything that you're watching these black pillars do over the last year is specifically designed to hand power over to the Democrats so that they can impeach Donald Trump and then they can steal the MAGA base. That's their goal. That's what they're trying to accomplish. The problem for them is it's not working. You're seeing it play out in the threads, in the comment section. You're seeing these people get destroyed everywhere that they tried to do this. And you're also starting to see it show up in the polls. And remember, it's only April. We still have 7 months until elections are called. And here's what it looks like for the Democrats right now.
Net favorability. Party ahead at this point. Midterm years with the GOP president. In 2018, Dems were up by 12. In 2006 on net favorability, which party you like more? Dems were ahead by 18. Republicans are actually ahead on net favorability at this point by 5 points. So Democrats are just simply put running behind their previous benchmarks, and they need to be running well ahead of them if they want to take back the United States Senate, given that map.
To be clear, both parties are wildly unfavorable right now. However,
Democrats are even more unpopular.
That's because they suck. And people are sick of Democrats. They have nothing to offer.
That's because they've got the government shut down. We're in a conflict with Iran. They're not funding the Department of Homeland Security or Secret Service. I mean, these people, they let in all of these illegals and now they're not funding DHS to try to secure our country. They let in actual terrorists on the terrorist watch list. They let in thousands of terrorists, you guys. And now they're keeping the government shut down. They're not paying TSA. You have reports from the government from 2024 talking where TSA, they did OIG reports. There are several reports on TSA where they were saying, look, we can't secure these planes because you guys are letting these illegal people in and we just have to let them go by because they have this little pass around their neck. We can't secure the flights. We cannot ensure that they are safe. And now they're not paying them.
What is actually happening? Yes, I mean that's all true. But the if you zoom up from just those little details, they didn't learn anything. The Democrats didn't learn anything from the 2024 election. Listen, they effectively ran a 4-year coup as they cried about democracy against President Trump, right? And then we had a global pandemic, and I think we all know what happened there and how it happened and why it happened and what the result of it was. And they basically stole back the entire reins of the federal government for 2 years, basically 4 years. They hid behind a oatmeal brain dude, and they had people running fraudulently the auto pen for the administration. And we watched what the result was. And it was absolute disaster. The people that were pulling the strings are the ones who are always pulling the strings, except they were able to actually put a figurehead up there. Biden wasn't a good figurehead. And then when 2024 election happened, they had an option. They had a choice. Learn, at least pretend to learn a lesson, or double down. And every step along the way, they not only doubled and tripled and quadrupled down, they went harder with the insanity that got them ushered out of Washington, D.C. to begin with. So they think they've been able to make some inroads by creating situations that try to make President Trump look bad, but he skirts his way through almost all of them. The only reason why the Republican Party is only +5 favorability is because Congress is a bunch of feckless fucking losers. That's it. It's not because of Trump. It's because Congress. Could you imagine where we'd be if Congress had codified, any of the executive orders, or if they had, they'd passed the SAVE Act, or they've done anything. If they had done absolutely anything, could you imagine the approval rating that Congress would have right now? They would have near 90% support from the
This is the
Republican Party.
color revolution. It's the
I know,
color
right? They learned
revolution
nothing.
that's continuing. It is with a purpose. That's why you have all these people that have been in Congress for so long that it's becoming a nursing home that used to say the exact same things that Donald Trump is saying. And today they're saying the exact opposite, because this is the color revolution. What Donald Trump is saying is common sense, America first, what's best for the American people. And the Democrats are going the complete opposite way with the globalists, with the actual color revolution, because they hate the Constitution and they hate this country, and they will do and say whatever they have to do and say to keep their seat and to keep the people that are keeping their campaigns funded happy, because they want to retire and unalive in their seat in Congress. That is why we are where we are.
But the numbers are showing that it's not working, right? Their color revolution, they're close, but it's not working. The polls are real, folks. It's not working. And but they won't course correct at all, because they are as insane, literally as insane as they project to be.
Yep.
So.
All right, folks. I hope you got something out of this. We will see you on Friday. I hear that the back office crew, the backstage production group, have been working on a special video that we're going to be showing. I think I've seen parts of it, and if I remember, it's pretty awesome. So Friday, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. PatriotDad will be back up in the Northern Command by then. Everyone else will be in their normal spots.
I will not be here.
Oh, Nom won't be here. That's right.
No,
Nom will not
no.
be here.
So you're going to have the very meek and the very mild PatriotDad, and SK is not going to be able to get sloppy, because why would she want to get sloppy and get yelled at by the preacher dad
I
over there?
know. I can't do that.
Boring.
I may try to find a special guest to join us, someone that can spice things up a little bit. I'll see if I can wrestle somebody up.
I'm going to be tearing up Ole Miss campus Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, you stay out of jail.
No promises.
But
Doxy mommy.
But he'll bail you out if you do.
We love you too, Doxy mommy. We love you too. See ya. Let's get out of here.
All right, folks. See you Friday.
Good night, guys.
Do we have the closing video? Take it down. There it is.
In the shadows of the Capitol, they're scheming in the night, selling out our freedoms for a pocket full of spite. From the border to